Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got something exciting lined up for you. Let's jump right in. Here are 10 facts about the fierce rivalry between Panathinaikos and Olympiacos, often dubbed the Derby of the Eternal Enemies. I fleshed out each point with historical context, stories, and statistics for depth. Let's jump right in. 1. Origins. To clubs, to cities, to identities. Panathinaikos, founded 1908, grew up in central Athens, long associated fairly or not with the city's old bourgeois circles and the leafy neighborhoods around Leoforos Alexandros. Olympiacos, founded 1925, rose from Piraeus, the gritty port that fed Athens, and drew huge working-class support from shipyards and docklands. From the start, it wasn't just green versus red, it was uptown versus harbor, a civic and social split that made every meeting feel like a referendum on who really owns the Athens-Piraeus basin. This framing hardened in the early decade as Olympiacos piled up titles and Piraeus fans reveled in bloodying the capital's nose. Meanwhile, Panathinaikos leaned into a self-image of technical quality and European adventure. While the old-class divide has softened, both clubs still carry the symbolism. Olympiacos as the swaggering port powerhouse, Panathinaikos as the historic Athenian standard-bearer. Even the home grounds mirror it. CollideThe is tucked by the sea in Neophalero, and Leoforos or aka when kneaded up in the dense city fabric. The effect is that a derby never feels neutral. International outlets routinely place this fixture among the world's fiercest. CNN has listed it in a do-or-die derbies feature. The BBC once called it Europe's maddest derby. The Mirror has ranked it among the planet's most important. That external validation might sound like hype until you see the context. Decades of title races decided by one goal in a cauldron of flares and choreography, storylines bleeding across other sports, and the constant risk of a match stopping for reasons that have nothing to do with tactics. No other Greek rivalry has the same gravitational pull abroad, which is why broadcasters around Europe flag Derby Week and why headlines travel even when the scoreline doesn't. Put simply, this is the Greek game's calling card, the match that shows newcomers exactly how much football means here, and the one that makes veteran observers whisper brace yourselves every time it appears on the calendar. 3. Head-to-head reality check. Through May 11, 2025, strip away the noise and the numbers still shout. Olympiacos lead the all-time official series. As catalogued in the Derby's consolidated record, there have been 227 official meetings. Olympiacos 90 wins, Panathinaikos 80, draws 57. In league play Alpha Ethniki, Super League, Olympiacos hold the advantage, 53 wins to Piraeus 37, with plenty of draws reflecting the fixture's tight margins. Attendance history underlines the scale. OAKA has seen several 70+ thousand crowds for this clash, including 70,000 for 152 for a scoreless draw on November 18, 1984, numbers you associate with European superclubs. The latest tick in the ledger as of this writing was on May 11, 2025, when Olympiacos beat Panathinaikos 1-0 in the playoffs in Athens. The repetition of that result across decades' low-scoring, razor-edge, season-shaping is why both sets of supporters can recite head-to-head trivia the way others quote song lyrics. It's also why neutral fans come away impressed that, for all the chaos, the footballing balance has remained close enough to keep the rivalry volatile. For record wins and the matches, people still talk about the fixture's extremes are history lessons in themselves. Panathinaikos' biggest hammering of Olympiacos is an 8-2 home win back on June 1, 1930. Olympiacos' largest league win in the modern era was for 2-0 February 26, 1967 at CollideThe. More recently, Olympiacos stunned PAO for 2-1 away in 2021, and PAO returned the favor with a 3-0 away win in 2014. Kepler adds a dramatic layer. The 1988 Greek Cup final finished 2-2 after extra time, with Panathinaikos winning on penalties and goalkeeper Nikos Sarganis scoring by both saving twice and scoring once. Years later, Sarganis said Olympiacos owner George Koskotis attempted to bribe him before that final another combustible detail in a derby that rarely needs fuel. These singular scorelines become shorthand for eras, the 8-2 for early POW dominance, 67 for Olympiacos muscle, 88 for drama and scandal in capital letters. Each reference carries a stadium, a smell of smoke, and a sense that any new meeting could yank one of those ghosts into the present. 5. Violence, tragedy, and the hard conversations Greek football keeps. Having to tell this story honestly, you have to talk about the dark side. The derby's reputation is not just Piraeus and noise, there have been abandonments and injuries. On October 22nd to 23rd, 2023, the match at Panathinaikos was abandoned after a firework struck Panathinaikos defender Huanker. The disciplinary body later awarded POW 3-0 win and deducted points from Olympiacos. Appeals followed. In 2019, another derby at OAKA was halted amid clashes with police. Go further back in 2011 at Panathinaikos, a pitch invasion after Olympiacos when included attacks on PAO players. Gibril Sis raged publicly and said he'd leave Greece. And beyond this specific fixture, Greece's stadium culture has endured real tragedy, most infamously the Gate 7 disaster of 1981, 21 deaths after a 6-0 versus AC, and the 2007 killing of Panathinaikos fan Michaelis Philopoulos during prearranged hooligan clashes ahead of a women's volleyball match. Authorities still cycle through crackdowns and reforms. Investigations in 2024 to 25 probed links between ultras and broader criminal networks. None of this is comfortable, but it is part of the derby's truth. Passion that too often spills where it shouldn't. 6. Crossing the divide. When players and coaches switch sides, if you want to watch a fanbase short circuit, mention a name who wore both crests. Goalkeeper Nikos Sarganis is Exhibit A. He played for Olympiacos, then crossed to Panathinaikos and forever wrote himself into POW folklore with that 1988 Cup final shootout masterclass. Winger Georgos Georgiadis starred for Panathinaikos in the mid-1990s, part of the 96 Champions League semi-final run, and later turned up at Olympiakos, an eye-rubbing sight for Greens who de-cheered him in Europe. Tassos Rambo Mitropoulos, a Piraeus icon, even logged a brief spell at Panathinaikos during a winding career that also included AEK. Coaching crossovers have happened, too, and each one reopens old wounds. Fans don't forget, ever. What makes these moves especially charged in Greece is the density of the football culture. Players live among rival fans, media cycles are relentless. And a transfer isn't just a transaction, it's a conversational earthquake that rumbles for years. 7. Europe, Panathinaikos trailblazing pedigree versus Olympiacos modern breakthrough for decades. Panathinaikos owned the European prestige angle. The 1971 European Cup final at Wembley lost 2-0 to Ajax remains a singular Greek achievement. At Champions League semifinals in 1985 versus Liverpool and 1996 versus Ajax plus other deep runs. That history shaped how POW supporters see themselves as the Greek club who went and danced with Europe's aristocracy. Then came May 29, 2024, and Olympiacos 1-0 after extra time over Fiorentina in the UEFA Europa Conference League final, a first major UEFA trophy for any Greek club. Ayoub El Kaabi's late header didn't just win a cup, it reset a narrative. Now, both sides can claim a unique badge, Panathinaikos as Greece's European pioneer, Olympiakos as Greece's first UEFA title holder. The European ledger balances differently than the domestic one, and that as part of the rivalry's texture, whichever team doesn't lead the table always has a counterboast ready. 8 recent chapters 2-3, 2-5, fireworks, fine margins, and Mendilibars era. The last couple of seasons captured everything good and bad about this derby. There was the abandoned October 2023 match after Huanker's injury and the adjudicated 0-3 result. There were league and playoff meetings in 2020 for to 25 that swung either way, most notably on March 30th, 2025 Olympiacos for 2-2, and May 11th, 2025 Olympiacos 1-0 away, with the latter closing the playoff calendar on a sour note for PAO. The Greek Cup delivered pure drama. On February 5th, 2025, Olympiacos edged Panathinaikos 1-0 in Piraeus to win the quarterfinal tie to 2-1 on aggregate, with a last-gasp winner after a missed VAR-awarded penalty. Quintessential derby whiplash. Overlay Jose Luis Mendilibar's influenced the Spanish coach who guided Olympiacos to European glory in 2024 and then kept racking up results, and you get a present tense that feels as intense as any golden age. The key point: even when one side has momentum, the margin is the width of a post. 9 basketball, same colors, same fury, different court. If you're new to Greece, you might be shocked to learn that the fight is just as fierce on hardwood. Panathinaikos and Olympiakos are continental heavyweights. PAO have a storied EuroLeague history, and in recent seasons a return to the top with star signings and a 2024 renaissance, while Olympiakos own 3 EuroLeague titles to a 1-2, a 1-3, 1-9-9-7, and have been final for regulars lately. The Greek League finals often devolve into seed warfare, decibel meters, paper storms, and yes, match stoppages. Anyone who lived through the 2010s remembers the disputes that culminated in Olympiacos walking away from the domestic league for a spell, citing refereeing, then roaring back. Even in 2024-25, the finals were wrapped in verbal fireworks as club leaders traded barbs and demanded sweeps. When fans in Berlin clashed around the EuroLeague final in 2024, it was a reminder: this rivalry exports its emotions. The upshot is that Panathinaikos versus Olympiacos is not a one-sport obsession. It's an all-sports identity contest that renews itself multiple times a year. 10 culture, ultras, and the sound of a city divided but addicted. Gate 13 Panathinaikos and Gate 7 Olympiacos aren't just stands. They're institutions with histories, rituals, and memorials. Gate 13, formally founded in 1966, helped shape Greek ultras culture. Leophoros on a big night is a wall of green sound. Gate 7 took its name from the Piraeus exit linked to the 1981 tragedy. The black seats shaped as a 7 and the memorial are non-negotiable stops for anyone trying to understand Olympiacos' soul. Both groups have dazzling tifos and deafening chants, and both have been at the center of incidents the country keeps wrestling with. This is why the derby feels like a civic event. It contains grief, pride, art, anger, and stubborn loyalty. On match day, the city's rhythms bend, metro cars announce their colors. And even people who don't watch football check the score. The obsession isn't going away. Greece has tried bans, cameras, and new ticketing rules. Some measures help, some don't. But the passion behind Gate 13 and Gate 7 is, for better and worse, the fuel that keeps this rivalry unique in Europe. Why these 10 facts actually explain the rivalry put together. They show why Panathinaikos versus Olympiacos is not just another domestic grudge match. It's a layered Athens Piraeus identity argument, a ledger of slim margins and seismic nights, a story that bleeds into basketball, volleyball, and beyond. A cultural phenomenon with tifos that make news and a history that forces hard discussions about safety and responsibility. And it's current. As recently as May 11, 2025, the derby was deciding mood and momentum in Greece. Which is to say, the next one won't be just a game either. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Got questions or ideas? Drop them below. I love hearing from you. Until next time, take care and stay awesome.